Welcome to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from June 6, 1996.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, good morning, and welcome to the best in live overnight talk radio. From the flyover country, that's all of us, to the Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, south into South America and north to the pole. This is Coast to Coast AM. As a matter of fact, worldwide on the internet. Good morning, everybody. I'm Art Bell. Great to be here. We've got a lot planned for the evening. It is going to be mainly open lines with one exception. Due to popular demand, but those of you better make note of it right now. Call your friends, whatever you want to do. I have been besieged by email, faxes, telephone calls. The segment with Major Dames. Very controversial, very scary, and not available through our tape service. Quick thinking and auspices of my engineer in Oregon, we have dredged it up, and at midnight tonight, again, at midnight tonight, or about an hour from now, we will repeat that segment by popular demand. Also, I talked with the major, or got a message from him, I guess I had to say earlier today, and we will be planning a show for next week, which is what I said to everybody on the air. They said, yes, but no guest appearance is ever the same, and he might not have the same things to say. So I'm going to repeat that. It's about a 19-minute segment, I believe, and we'll do that tonight at midnight. Okay. So plan for it, get a tape out, do whatever you want to do, but get ready for it. That'll be around midnight. Now, let us cover a bit of the news of the day. 4 freemen, so-called, have left the ranch voluntarily. 17 more remain, including, in the remaining, 1 child inside the ranch. The 4 who departed were Elwyn Ward, his wife Gloria, and their 2 daughters from previous marriages. We talked to the man up in Oregon, I believe, or was it Utah, who was in a custody battle for these children. All criminal charges against them have been lifted. Thursday's surrender is the first at the ranch in more than a month. The 4 were driven by convoy to the local FBI headquarters. The Freeman fugitives, many of whom are wanted for fraud and threatening the life of a federal judge, have been locked now in a 10-week standoff with the FBI. Might be a sign the increasing pressure is working. That would be one view of it, but the 17 who are left include the hardcore leaders who we don't think are going to leave. The news at the top of the hour suggested the FBI may be getting ready to make their move. So we'll see. There is remaining, though, 1 child inside. The balanced budget amendment to the Constitution failed as forecast. Did it by 3 votes. Now Bob Dole will be seen to have it as a campaign issue. He knew it was going to fail. Wanted to get the vote before he left the Senate. He did. It failed. Now I guess it will be considered to be a campaign issue. The President of the United States, offering more candy to the people, has cut closing costs on homes. $200. Well, if you bought a home, you know that it is exactly what Bob Dole called it, chump change. Chump change. And that really is what it is, but it is the latest offering from the President, who knows what you want to hear. So there you are. You can rock that one up, too. There is big news with regard to Bob Dole's anti-abortion stance. He wants a change in platform. Now, the Republican platform basically says no abortion change to include the exceptions for life of the mother, rape, incest, and so forth. Said that he wants diversity in the party. Does not now. He did, support a human life amendment that would echo what's in the platform. He does not now. This may bring on a Buchanan fight. We'll have to see. As you know, Mr. Buchanan is very staunch on the issue, and I wonder how you feel about it. I know many of you are very staunch, strict on the issue of abortion as well. How do you react to Bob Dole's wanting to soften this, to make the tent a little bigger, bring in more? AIDS news. There's a lot of AIDS news tonight. I want to talk to you about this a bit. It confuses my understanding of AIDS. The first bit of news is simply treatment. If you are splattered with blood, get a needle stick, something like that, they want you to take AZT right away, along with some other sort of little soup mixture of drugs, to prevent the possibility of contamination and infection of HIV. The really bad news about HIV and AIDS is the Science magazine report of new research in Boston. Now, this really is something. Oral sex, previously, keyword previously, was thought to be safe sex. Not. Now they say oral sex, even without open sores, is a way to transmit AIDS. Now here's where I get confused. If they were talking about open sores, one way or the other, genital area, mouth area, both, then it would be easy to understand how they have come to this conclusion. And they came to it, by the way, using the monkey version of AIDS. And they exposed 7, check this out, 7 lab monkeys in the manner just suggested. And 6 of them, 6 out of 7, came down with AIDS. Now, here's the part I don't get, and maybe somebody in the medical community can help me out here. If without open sores, oral sex can transmit, and apparently fairly easily, AIDS, several questions come from that. Number one, how is this discernibly different than kissing? I don't understand that. They went out of their way to say kissing, less casual contact, they called it. Kissing is okay. I don't understand how this can be. If the concentration of the AIDS virus is sufficient with oral genital contact to transmit, then why not simple oral? I don't understand the difference. And the second big question asked about this revelation is what previously was thought to be true now is not true. But my God, this is 1996, not 1987. We've had a lot of years under our belt of looking into AIDS, and this would seem a rather late date to me to be modifying what you now know to be true about how AIDS is transmitted. A little late, wouldn't you say? The fire in Alaska continues. A little relief with a little less wind, but it's not over yet, not by a long shot. 150 homes destroyed, 42,000 Alaskan acres burned. It is a fire about 50 miles north of Anchorage. 1,500 firefighters on the job. And even though the wind has slackened, it could pick up again at any time. Very dangerous fire. Got a lot of faxes during the day about the fire. Here's one, Art. I'm still alive, fighting smoke, fire, and exhaustion. I'm right in the middle of it. I live in Houston. I'm still fighting to save my home. It hasn't burned down as of this moment. Today is going to be pivotal. This is a war zone. Don't know how much longer I can hold out or will be here. This must be what it's like to be surrounded by the BATF, he says. And this, greetings from the Great Land, Alaska. I live in Eagle River, about a dozen air miles behind the fire. It's been a whale of a week. Drove up there, taking a load of supplies yesterday, got right up to the fire line. It was trying to cross the main road called the Parks Highway. And the Parks was closed for a while due to heavy smoke. It was, and still is, quite an air show. Watching the planes, helicopters, and smoke jumpers. Some 2,000 plus trained volunteers, several hundred pros fighting this thing. 42,000 acres burned or burning as of 6 on Thursday. Saying if the winds don't change, it may be contained from here on, but no one's saying the worst is over. He says so far 200 homes have been destroyed and over 300 structures burned to the ground. But at least one hero emerges today in the form of Martin Boozer, Iditarod dog mushing champ. He threw his dog sleds and equipment in the lake and ferried his 80 dogs away from his home as fire approached a boatload at a time to the other side of the lake. Then he came back across to fight fire to save his home and land. This story is really unbelievable. Apparently, he saw the flames coming at him, shooting 50 feet above the treetops. Martin knew his buckets and garden hoses weren't going to do the job, went for help, ran to the nearest fire station. The doors were locked. No one was around to drive the fire truck. He saw parked inside, no one around with a key to the locked garage door either, so he got in, fired up the thing, and drove the damn fire truck himself right through the fire station's door. Then went to fight fire on better terms. He did, too. With his dog team now safe, he doused the burning trees. Now right up to his property line, battled this monster of a thing alone and head on. And you know what? He won the damn battle. His home is fine this evening. His dogs are back with him. Martin was interviewed by a local news crew, but by this afternoon he could barely speak. Hoarse throat. His eyes bloodshot from toxic smoke. Nearly closed. They mentioned tire tracks were still visible on the fire station's garage door. Right on, Martin, right on. Ron in Eagle River. That's an amazing, amazing story, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Then this, Art, just came in. Unfortunately, tonight here in Charlotte, North Carolina, another black church was burned to the ground. This church had a congregation of less than 200 all-black members located in predominantly white southeastern Mecklenburg County. The structure that no longer exists dated back to the Civil War. Fire department says a strong suspicion of arson. And there was no harassment of the church by neighbors. There were no threats made to the church. I listened to you from just outside of Charlotte on WJR in Detroit. Frustrated John. So this torching of black churches would seem to be continuing. It better stop. I don't know what people are trying to do, but I can't think of anything more likely, particularly if a trend or a conspiracy is discerned, to cause a violent revolution in this country, a race war, than the burning of black churches. Dear Art, I believe I know where the chupacabras came from. You may remember in history, entire continents were devastated by rats carried in ships. What if the aliens visiting this planet had rats on their ships when they came here? The Chupas are probably just the equivalent of our rats carried here by their ships. That's an interesting theory. And this, Art, I thought you might think this is funny. At a local convenience store, some of us hang out late at night and drink coffee and talk about Art Bell. The cashier of the store asked me if I could print out the Chupacabra picture for him to see. So naturally I did, in color. And I took it over to the store. After I left, some of the guys thought it would be funny to put lost dog on the top of the picture and offered a reward for its return. So they wrote on the picture that his name was Chupi and that he had been lost in the area and posted the picture. They did it near the cash register alongside some other lost pet notices. Well, all that night, people would come in, look at the picture, and make faces and ask the usual questions. When he was lost, where he was lost, and so forth. And even an offer to keep an eye out for him. But then the old fisherman came in. He obviously had had a few beers and was already in the store to buy a few more. He took one look at the picture and asked the cashier, "Is that your dog?" To which he responded, "Why, yes, and he's lost." Next, the